Chapter 4, the budget. The budget is one of the most important pieces of the puzzle when you are doing a music project. And I'm making this analogy simply because the budget is going to determine what type of project you are going to be able to make, but it's also going to project what you're going to have to make to recoup in order to see a profit as well. It's always important to know what the forecast is for you to profit from anything that you are involved in, whether it's a business, music business, whatever it is. Here's a very good example of what I'm talking about. A person that rehabs homes has a budget that they go by in order to rehab the home and put the home on the market and get profit from the sale. A lot of things go into play when they start the process. One is getting a budget to rehab. Second thing is finding out what the value of the homes around the house that they're rehabbing are. Third thing is making sure that they're positioning themselves with the budget that they have to make a profit after all of the work is done and the house is sold. There's no difference in a music project. You have a budget. You base that budget on what you're going to do in sales to know exactly what you need to spend in order to make your project successful. A lot of mistakes that independent artists and labels do is they get into the music business and they start working on a project with no underlying budget in sight. No budget that caps off the spending that they're going to spend on their projects, on their artists or videos or whatever it is that they're investing in. That's a catastrophic mistake because you're inhibiting yourself on knowing how fast you're going to get your investment back, what your profits are going to be. You can't project what that's going to be if you're just spending money and there's no budget. There's no starting point and there's no cutoff point. And that's a huge mistake. Especially if you're working with an artist that has no value, has nothing to go on to determine what type of money that they're making per project. Just like any other business, you never want to start in a business in the red. So it's very important to set a budget so that you are able to make some type of projection on how the recoupment of your money is going to come back and what type of projections you can make on the profits from the project. A lot of people don't think about that. A lot of people don't have any type of business plan that's going to show how they are going to get their money back that they invest into these projects. It's just like getting a feature from a hot artist. Spending a budget to get a verse from a hot artist and not having anything in place to get help to promote that record from the artist that you paid that money is like throwing it in the trash. There's no way to make the projection on the profits when you don't have a concrete plan on how the record's going to get promoted, if the artist is going to be involved and you can go off of the following that they have, then the investment is frivolous. And that's a very, very bad situation. And I've seen it happen time and time again. When there's no clear, concise plan on how the money's going to be recouped, how the profits are going to be made, then you really have to sit down and try to come up with a business plan. 8 out of 10 people that have record labels and artists signed to them don't have business plans for the artists that they're working with. And before you look up, you are $100,000 in the hole with no clear plan on how to recoup that money back. Then you find yourself constantly throwing money at a project, trying to make it successful, but you still don't have a plan on how to get your money back. In this day and time, there's a lot of moving pieces that determine how you get your money back. If you don't know how much money a million streams will pay you, then you need to do research to understand the value of the streams that you're getting per record that you put out and release. There are so many different promotional plans now. You could find yourself paying for promotions out of your budget and not understanding that what you're paying for is not real streams. In fact, they're bots. And then you don't get paid any royalties from that. So in this day and time, you have to be very careful what you're spending your budget on. I think a lot of people don't understand the value of putting a hand in a hand, how important that is still to this day. But back to the budget. If you don't put a business plan together that shows you're going to pay for this and it's going to take this amount of streams to pay this back, and you don't set up a plan to meet those type of goals, then you're going to lose your money. If you don't have release schedules set out and a promotional budget listed, you're going to fail. Because there's no way that you can understand and know how to recoup the money that you spent when you don't have a budget on how you're going to spend that budget. And not having that plan is going to compromise how you recoup it back. And it's crazy that we don't get this, and a lot of people don't practice this. But in fact, if you had a budget and you had the things listed out on a plan of what you're going to do and what you can do and what you can't do, or you have milestones that you meet in order to unlock more money, then the success rate is incredibly low. A lot of people get into business and they are depending on a record label to pick them up, and then they are able to recoup their money that way. Some people think that you could just keep throwing money at a project and it's going to blow up, and then you'll be able to get this $1 million check and then everything is good. That doesn't happen all the time. So you have to make sure that you have a concise plan and path to your profits, a straight path to recoupment, a straight path on what you're going to spend, how, when, and why. Because if you're on the path of just digging in your pocket every time you think about something, or every time somebody needs something, or somebody comes into town and you want to do a song with them, then you are putting yourself in a very, very crucial point in your career for your company, your artist, and everybody that's involved. Even when you have a major deal, you should have a manager or somebody that can oversee that budget and understand what's going on, because if the record labels don't recoup, they shelf you. And you can have a good project, it just didn't do what they wanted it to do with the money that they spent, and they will shelf your career and your career will be over. And you can't move around until you get the money back to them. They won't release you out of the contracts you're in, none of that stuff. So being able to understand and knowing how to move with a budget is like a lifeline that you don't want to get snapped. So you have to really pay attention to the money that you're putting in and understanding how it's going to come back. Understanding the worth of a stream at every DSP that you putting your record on, you need to know the value of those streams so that you can understand what has to be done to recoup your money back and also to see a profit off of your project. And this is why a 360 deal is so crucial in certain situations, because they need multiple streams in order to guarantee a return on investment. Because artists can go out and do shows, features, they have different streams of income that come from their music. So if you are a record label or a person that's invested into somebody's music career and you only dependent on record sales to get your money back, then you have a low chance of recouping that money. That's why 360s are put in place, so that the investor or the person that's putting the money into the project can have different opportunities to recoup their money back.